goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Slugfest, a tasty tidbit to get you through the week as we take cinema elements of the same ilk and pit them against each other. The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Our two opponents this week are Crying Brian Connington and Lane the Train Wollscroft. Today we will be pitting the light side of the Force versus the dark side. And on the side of light and the beaming of everything pure and decent is Lane.
Oh,
and
so pure.
And the dark, brooding side and everything Q is Brian Connington.
You don't understand the power of the dark side.
I think you need a lozenge. Are you okay?
Yeah, sore throat.
So, just as a recap here, what we will have is each of them will get a minute 30, and then they will have a minute rebuttal of each other, then a final 30 seconds to cement their final opinions. I am judging completely on argument, not which side going into this that I prefer more. Just as usual, it's based on passion, argument, and how you best present why you think that you should win and why your side is better. All right, Brian, you will be going first.
Okay.
Here. So when I hit the clock, we shall start. So you may start now.
Okay, my biggest argument against the light side of the Force is that its followers are hypocritical. The biggest thing is that the light side of the Force preaches love, understanding, compassion, yet forces their followers to be devoid of the certain attachments and relationships that enrich those aspects. For example, Anakin Skywalker being the biggest version of that, in the sense that he, followed the light side of the Force and had a relationship with Padme Amidala, and ultimately was shunned by the Jedi and his friends and followers, ultimately because his attachment did lead to his corruption to the dark side. That's the other point too, is the light side is easily corruptible because it does not allow its followers to go ahead and be humans. And be not necessarily humans, but just their accept their flaws. The dark side does accept flaws. It does, promote the pursuit of power, but it doesn't necessarily promote evil acts with that power. The biggest example is Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis wanted to preserve and keep life, and he used the power of the Force to keep and preserve life of the people he loved and cared about. How evil can that be? The Jedi are dogmatic, and they shun the variances in the Force, whereas the dark side simply does not.
Very good. With a few seconds to spare, allow me to reset here. Lane, you have a minute 30 as a rebuttal time here, or just to make your initial argument for that matter. Mm-hmm. Your time starts now.
Okay, so basically with the light side of the Force, this isn't a matter of Jedi versus Sith. To me, it's the two sides of a single entity. So its roots in the light side of the Force are certainly emotional control, discipline, Zen-like sensibilities. This is hard. It's strict. But what we come as a result of this is the light side of the Force represents the big picture, the long game, so to speak. Because of the ability to harness this power, once it's done in the disciplined manner, it can endure over a long amount of time. So we have the dark side rooted in, pain and suffering, and those emotions, they can't last for a long amount of time. So we have the short game versus the long game. So the light side is superior in that sense because it does have a really good endurance of the long game. These emotions, of the dark side users can tap into the dark side of the Force with the pain, the suffering, their anger, but the quick, easy path backfires on them because eventually they get cocky. Hubris takes over, and it causes them to make careless mistakes because their emotional state is always super volatile. We see the Sith Masters make their mistakes in these cases, such as one of the greatest defeats on the dark side of the Force when Anakin is defeated by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There. Now we shall reset. Each competitor will have 1 minute to respond. Brian starts first here, and he starts now. Okay.
The argument that the emotions are simply a dark side argument is honestly ridiculous. Emotions are are a fact of every living being. Okay, whether you are a light side user or a dark side user, to shun emotions and basically enforce a discipline isn't realistic. And honestly, that is one of the biggest reasons why light side users fall to the dark side, is because it puts unrealistic expectations on these individuals. Now, what people do with the dark side, yes, that is their own personal issue. But not everyone who uses the dark side uses it for negative means. The original means of getting that power is honestly up to the individual, not necessarily that they belong to one side of the force or the other. But to shun emotions is wrong, in my opinion.
Right near the end of the clock there. Very nice. Lane, 1 minute rebuttal. Your time starts now.
So for the light side of the force, it is strict, as I said before, but it's not a necessary shunning of emotions. It's learning to control them. And so what happens when those emotions are controlled is the serenity and the calm and the zen of the light side of the force. These all manifest when the masters cross over into death, at the end of life. It's what makes Obi-Wan able to come back to counsel Luke throughout Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He has joined with the light, and that's this long game that I'm talking about. When you have achieved oneness with the Force through serenity and calm and discipline, you can achieve a higher, more enlightened consciousness, and that is the point of what all Jedi on the light side of Force strive to attain. They want to bring together this life force into themselves and to become one with the light.
All right, it is time for closing statements. Brian will start first here. 30 seconds to wrap up. Brian, hit me with that bad shot.
Okay.
Right now.
Basically, my closing statement is that emotions are a natural part of being alive, whether you're an alien, human, whatever. To shun those emotions and put yourself into a dogmatic, segmented part of the Force is unrealistic. And honestly, to force those expectations can lead to things like falling to the dark side and diving into those things like anger and aggression, instead of understanding and accepting that those are part of being alive.
At exactly 29.21. So right under there. Elaine, you have 30 seconds to wrap this up before my final judgment. Your time starts now.
We have a beautiful example of why the light side of the Force is better than the dark, because the biggest battle of light versus dark in the Force, it's not Obi-Wan versus Vader or Vader versus Luke. It's Vader versus Palpatine at the end of Return of the Jedi. When Vader destroys Palpatine, it's because he's let go of his anger. He's let go of his hate, and he's let go of his rage. It's not that he didn't have those emotions. He just let them go because they were poison, and he saved his son, even though he knew it would cost him his own life. He went to the light.
All right, so this is tough. Both of you gave very interesting arguments. I was leaning one way more than another, but at the final arguments, I think is what really cinched it for me. I was leaning towards Brian for most of that. I thought he had more things to say and more examples to give. Elaine, I felt that you had said a lot of the same things again and again. But I think it was very much right there at the end. And, I mean, this is a judge's decision. Elaine, I thought that you had said he let go of his anger and, his sadness by picking up a man and murdering him. So I'm not sure that I 100% agree with that. And I was siding with Brian for a lot of that argument. And so I got to say the winner of this fight is Brian Connington.
Yeah!
Nicely
Dark
done, sir. See, he did a thing where he made it seem like I was going to win, and then he said your name. It was a thing. He did a thing.
Dark side.
So that was a good battle.
It's an interesting topic.
It is.
Very interesting.
It is. I thought it would be better than just like, who's better Sith or who's better Jedi, that sort of thing. It's kind of like a global, idea of the Force, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like this little snippet, check out our full-length episodes of the Cinema Psycho shows available every Friday. Good night and good luck.